Hello, my dear students. My name is Mrs. Mariam Farid. I'm with you today to cover Chapter 8 in our novel A Tale of Two Cities for 3rd Prep. I want just to remind you with the accident that happened to Gasper's son when the Marquis Everman stepped over this child using his carriage. Yes, it was an accident, but the child was killed and Gasper was in great sadness. He was very sad, of course, because of what happened to his son. We also knew that Gasper managed to kill the Marquis while he was sleeping in his palace at night. In Chapter 8, we are going to understand that the road mender who saw Gaspard now trying to tell what happened to Gaspard when he was arrested to the people in Saint Antoine Street. The mender of roads who spotted the man under the Marquis Saint Everman's carriage, Gaspard, accompanies Devage to the wine shop. In the garret where Dr. Alexander Manette stayed, in the place in which Devage kept Dr. Manette once. Devage and Jack 1, 2, 3 listen to the road mender describe what happened to Gaspard. The man who killed the Marquis, Gaspard who murdered the Marquis for running down his child, went into hiding for nearly a year after this killing. Yes, he managed to hide himself for about a year, but finally the police arrested Gaspard. The French authorities recently captured, jailed, and hanged him, and left his his body, dead body, dangling by the village fountain, with his shadow poisoning the atmosphere of the town. As, of course, the police here wanted the others to be very afraid because of what Gaspard did, and not to think about taking revenge, not to think about being angry at all from the nobles. Slide 3. The next day, John Barset visits the wine shop and questions the Devages, Monsieur Devage and his wife, about the unrest in Saint Antoine caused by Gasper's execution. Both Devages behave as if they don't know what he is talking about, and as Barset attempts more conversation, Madame Devage knits his name and description into her register, because you know that Madame Devage was just writing the names of the people who would be killed during the revolution in her knitting as a register. Slide 4. Barset finally provokes an emotional response from Devage when he mentions that Lucy Manette is engaged to marry Charles Darnay. John Barset was only trying to get any piece of information from the Devages, but of course they knew very well his intention. That's why they didn't speak with him. But finally, Barset proved to be a very good spy when he managed to make them show some eagerness to know what happened to Lucy Manette, the daughter of Dr. Manette. And you know that the relation between Monsieur Devage and Dr. Manette was very great, that Devage wished so much to protect his former master, Dr. Manette. And when he knew that Lucy was about to marry Charles Darnay, the nephew of the Marquis, Saint Everman, of course, he became very sad because he knew that even Charles, yes, he was innocent, he didn't do anything, but he was a member of the Everman's family, and during the revolution, of course, he would be killed. That's why Lucy would be a widow, which, of course, Devage didn't wish for Dr. Manette. After Barset leaves, Devage remarks that he hopes destiny keeps Lucy and Darnay from France, not to enter France. Meanwhile, Madame Devage knits Darnay's name into her register next to Barset's. Why? Her intention was to kill Charles Darnay as well as his uncle, even if Lucy would be a widow, even if Dr. Manette would suffer again. It doesn't matter. Slide 5. We are going now to have some questions. Number 1, speak state what happened to Gaspard after killing the Marquis. After killing the Marquis, Gaspard kept hiding for almost a year. but he was finally found and arrested. He was put in an iron cage by the prison for some days, then he was hanged by a great gallows. His body was left hanging there in public to serve as a lesson, but instead it served as a reminder of misery. Number 2, to be registered as doomed to destruction. Comment. Monsieur de Vache said these words to the Jack in the wine shop. I mean by Jack any person who would help in the revolution. On hearing the road repairer's story about Gaspard, the Jack were so angry and decided to register the chateau, I mean the palace, and all the race of the dead Marquis, all his family, in their list of destruction, I mean to be killed. The race includes even the innocent members of the family, and Charles Darnay was one of them. Next slide, number 3. What did Jack of the police tell Monsieur de Vache? I mean by Jack of the police, I mean a person who is working as a police officer, but at the same time he was trying to help in raising the revolution. Jack of the police told Monsieur de Vache that an English spy called John Barsted was appointed at their section and gave him his description. He was a spy for the French government. He was sent to Saint Antoine to gather information from the people by talking to them about Gaspard's death and people's poverty. Number 4, why did Madame de Vache put a rose in her hair? And what was the reaction of the customers to that? Madame de Vache put a rose in her hair to warn the others in the wine shop to be careful, as a stranger who might be a spy was coming amongst them. The moment Madame de Vache picked up the rose, the customers stopped talking and began to leave the shop, one after another. Those who entered and saw the rose went away until there was no one left in the wine shop. Yes, of course, they knew very well that if she put this rose, it's a signal that they should keep silent and get away. Slide 7. I hope for her sake, destiny will keep her husband out of France. Comment. Monsieur de Vache said these words to Madame de Vache in the wine shop when he knew from Barsted that Lucy was going to marry the present Marquis Saint-Evremond, because, you know, after the death of the Marquis Saint-Evremond, the heir of all his money, property, lands, and even his title was Charles Darnay, his nephew. So he became the Marquis himself, who was known in England as Charles Darnay. After the departure of the spy, he prayed God to keep Charles away from France when the revolution broke out for the sake of Lucy, because his name was registered in the list of destruction. Thanks a lot for your great attention for today, and goodbye.